What have you
Right.
got, mate?
What have you got?
Ta-da!
Okay. All right.
So
run us
this
through.
here at the top graph is 2018's Melbourne pre-Choco. And below it is Carlton at the moment. So you can see some real big similarities. We've got clearances to advantage on the left. We've got midfield turnovers resulting in scoring shots. Melbourne 4th worst in 2018, us 6th worst. Combined midfield numbers, so that's all the key metrics that the AFL use to give a rating. We were 15th, they were 15th. Tackles in the midfield, 17th and 17th. Tackles total in the comp, 18th to 16th. So what I wanted to talk about here is I thought it leads us into assistant coaches and it also leads us into Voss as well. So one thing I wanted to do about Michael Voss is he was accredited by Hinckley himself last year in their structural change in 2019. In 2018, he was elevated to senior assistant and was charged with development 1, number 2, in structure and tactics. And one of the things he changed, and the biggest change, is their average possession went down by 4.8 metres in the midfield, and their tackles increased by about 1.98 a game in the midfield, which is huge. Which links me to Carlton. If you do them numbers, you are very, very similar. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I don't want to build people. Oh, fuck it. It's going to happen. If it happens, we are Melbourne. We are Melbourne. That's how simple it is. So back to that PPI video we talked about. We're talking percentages that make you 13th to 4th to 13th to 18th. And they're the kind of things we've got to look at. So for me, I want to put this question to you guys and the audience. Do you think maybe in the long term this could be a good thing? Because the soft cap does take into account the salary of the head coach. Now, obviously, we've saved a shitload of brass on the paper bag for Mr. Clarkson. Voss is going to be a bit cheaper. Maybe it means we can build a system like Melbourne. When you look at Melbourne, they've just got quality line coaches. They haven't got a superstar. They've just got quality across the lines. Would you think the same, that if Carlton can do that, knowing the history suggests 1%ers will change your game, do you think this might be actually a blessing in disguise looking forward to next year?
It could very well be, Pommy. It could very well be. I mean, look, as I said, with regards to the evidence of coaches being at a previous club and not doing well and then coming back and winning a flag, it doesn't really happen too often. But look, I mean, if the club make the decision and make the call that he's the man, well, we back it in. We back it in 100%.
Yeah, I can imagine, whether you are believing in what's going on or not, there's going to be a lot more just confidence and closure once we know what the panel is, once we know who the head coach is, once we know who the assistants are, because then we're going to be, told a message. And then we're going to have something that we can then rely on in the off season to judge everything against. If it's Voss, I mean, obviously, 4 days ago it was Don Pike, Gian Siracusa, they all pop up. I'm really excited to get the closure. I don't want to rush it. I'm past the stage of rushing it and getting sucked in every day to who's the hot name. But whoever it is, whichever panel we do get, I think I'm just excited for that closure.
Oh, I'm with you, Tez. I just think, looking at it, I've done a lot of research on Voss in the last couple of days, seeing he's been the hot tip. And they're the kind of big takeaways I've got from Port, speaking to Port guys. I've got to say, I hate to say it, Port's fans, shout out to you because you guys are really accommodating as well. So quite often when I go and do the rogue, tell me about your coach, I get F off, you pommy, CUNT. So it was quite nice to actually get some constructive feedback as opposed to it. But I'm really excited by that avenue that they were telling me that their development in their midfield was the huge thing they saw, that they were, one of the guys used the phrase that they felt a bit like Carlton, that they'd get these midfielders in and the guys were shit and they'd have to go and buy some. So it felt quite good to know that our biggest issue when you look at our breakdown of stats is in that midfield. It's the breakdown from the contest, the fall away at the ball, the working it out in the contest itself, and especially the way we use the ball in the middle of the park. I think Hewitt instantly brings you that tackle pressure, which he's infectious when you see him play. So I think that'll help him. But I think if you look at the Port brand, and let's just say he's credited with 50% of what Port are doing, let's just say 50, 20%. Port's offensive numbers are very similar to Carlton under Teague. And I don't think anyone would argue going forward with the ball, we're all right. It's finishing it off and stopping it when we turn it over. So if he can iron out that spread in the midfield, I'd say that, I feel a bit confident. I feel confident. We know me and Terry have been on the Voss train for a while, haven't we? So I'm kind of excited. Get him in, get the assistants in, and let's do what we do best, and that's build ourselves up, because we've got extra motivation, haven't we, round one? We've got to smash Teague.
Going back to Voss as well, you were mentioning that midfield development too. Do you think it's a case of our bookends our bookends are really sorted, aren't they, with regards to forward line and back line? I think maybe the only thing we'd need to add into our forward line, it was the thing that you came up with, Pommy, on the PPI, the tackle pressure inside forward 50. I think that's probably the thing we lack inside forward 50, but it could be a guy like Durden and Josh Honey to apply that. So maybe it is just the midfield that really needs to be sorted, and a guy like Voss can come in and do it.
Yeah, and I think also you're going to see a tackling team as well.
Yeah.
Traditionally, Carlton tackle very well when we sack a coach, because everyone wants to be in the team. So, that's a little bit of an easier thing for you. I do think, though, that, let's be honest, and I'll ask the audience and you guys this team, though, if you were a coach and you were coming into it, you've got one of the best key forwards in the competition. You've got one of the best key backs in the competition. You've got one of the best midfielders. You've probably got the best midfielder under 23 in the side. It would be an attractive proposition, wouldn't it?
And Cripps just sitting there.
Pardon?
I said, and Cripps just, in the background.
Yeah, and I think, there is a reason to be excited. And I think once the dust is settled, I'm really confident in Lukey to make the right appointments. I think he's got a bit more money to play with now. He can give Cookie a bit of a war chest. If that's Matty Scarlett, the thought of Scarlett working with Wheater and in Jones is salivating, isn't it? Because Scarlett knew what he was doing down the back. Get a forward line coach who's a bit tenacious, can really help on the chase down tackles. It's not as far away like that stats that we just brought up there. Melbourne this time last year, sacked Goodwin, burned the club, let's fuck off to Tasmania, I'm going skiing in Buller. Honestly, they were like us last year. You've got to remember there was huge rabble, wasn't they? Paul Roos failed, XYZ. They made a few amendments in the back room, and look at them now, probably odds-on favourites to win the flag. Yeah. So it can change around quickly. So I'm feeling confident. I don't know why. Check back in with me round 2 when I quit Blue Abroad again.
I think the issue comes down to as well, if you know the areas that you need to improve on, and you actually go out and fix them rather than just going for, and I know I keep saying it, rather than just going for the name or just going for the sake of it, then that's how you solve the problems, Pommy. It's like, we kept mentioning the AFL God print. Make adjustments to those areas and those facets that we lack in.
Yeah, no, mate, I'm 100% with you. I don't think it's that far. I just think I can't drill this home enough. My entire review all year has been structurally and tactically, we are inept. You've only got to watch the football. You've only got to watch the football this year. Teams that have tactically improved have skilled. You saw, if you watched Alistair Clarkson interview, he talked about, do I have to change things or do I stick to my plan? Once your plan works, it works. And I think that's it, back in your systems. And the problem is we didn't have a system. And what fills me with confidence is Voss, Kingsley, and Big Gia. All three of them are known as for their tactical input in team meetings and also their structural skills. So whichever one of the three you get out of them, even Don Pike is doing that as well. You are getting a guy that his job day to day is working out the structure, where Teague was just a forward line coach. So I think that's exciting.